What's up, dudes and dudettes? It's Brian Wang. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of just a couple minutes to tell you how things have been going and tell stories and give you guys a chance to ask questions and see, what you want to know about my trip and let you guys know that I'm alive, that things have been going pretty smooth, and just kind of let you know where your support, where your thoughts and prayers, where your funding have been going in as far as my involvement in the war in Ukraine, as well as a couple updates from the school. So today is Saturday. I'm in a nice apartment in Kyiv. I've been here in Kyiv for a week, and we've done 5 days of training with their military. I don't suppose this video will be very specific about what type of training we're doing or who we're doing it for, but basically doing the same type of training we would be doing anyways in California. So that would be training with snipers on the philosophical and academic and kind of tactical considerations of how to create snipers. Creating snipers is really a mental process, not really a physical process. Yeah, there's a certain type of equipment that you need. There's a certain skill and knowledge of how to use the equipment, but reality, it's a different way of thinking, which is more appropriate in a sense to a less rigid, less structured, less military style of thinking, and more of how civilians solve problems, which is just like, okay, what's the problem? What's the solution? Okay, let's find a way to solve the solution with the resources we have, and less of a military way of solving problems, which is like, here's the manual, this is the way the procedure is, we must do it this way, which makes you predictable, right? So snipers being by nature people who are need to be creative problem solvers and fighting first and foremost with their intelligence. Anyways, so yeah, sniper training, training soldiers on how to use their rifles and pistols, training on how to be safe with their weapons. That's a big one. So yeah, that's as far as the work is concerned. So thank you to a lot of people who helped me to get here, who have helped to support the school and to support me and to pay for the equipment and pay for my travel to come out here. Obviously out here I work very hard, but can't make any money off of it. So, that's a concern. I spent a lot of the school's resources. I brought a lot of the school's equipment here to give to the folks who need it, and sold some of the school's tools and weapons and equipment in order to fundraise for this trip. So, I appreciate you guys for all your support. And the other thing is, tell you more about this later, but the money is not something that I keep in my pocket necessarily. There's nothing in here for me other than to be able to give my experience and to be able to gain some experience to bring home to our community and our students in our school back in the United States. So yeah, that's as far as I'm concerned. As far as this apartment, it's very comfortable. It's very nice. It's in the center of the capital city. And I have to thank, there's a gentleman who has many flats, and he donated the use of this apartment for 2 weeks because the tenant is not here currently. So moving on, the food is coming from California, coming from a Chinese background. I like my food to be very colorful, and I find the food here to be a little bit boring. I'm trying to be nice here. I like things that are spicy, and their food is not spicy. And so I kind of miss having, all the flavorful mixes of Mexican and Asian and Vietnamese and Chinese food and stuff that we can find back home. So I am starting to miss the food at home, I must confess. So here in the capital city, they have a lot of kitchens that are run by volunteers, and they prepare big bags of food. A friend of a friend who's in the government service, in a paramilitary unit, he asked me, hey, do you need food? And he came by and brought, large bags of food and like fresh cooked meals for me. So there's cooking oil and flour and sugar and pasta and you know, all kinds of good stuff. But to be honest, I'm not really cooking. I don't really have the energy to go grocery shopping and cooking, and so, you know, I'll eat the ready-made meals and stuff, and then the rest of it was like toothpaste and shaving cream and toothbrush and stuff. There is some of the security guys at the building, and they were nice to me, and they held on to some of the food deliveries. And then to thank them, I just gave them the big bag of like extra dry goods supplies and groceries. And I'm like, here, do you guys need this? Here, like take this and split it amongst yourselves. So, yeah, so on those food adventures, you know, I don't know what I ate a couple days ago, but I've got a pretty iron stomach, and still I managed to catch some pretty bad case of diarrhea. So it was okay. It was like for a day. It was not that terrible. And so I tried to tough it through. And my friend Andre, who's kind of my host and fixer and translator, and you know, my ears and mouth here, he, you know, sent a couple text messages off to the captain for the unit that we're training with, and captain came over here and, you know, all stern looking with the medic, and they forced a bunch of drugs down my throat, which stopped the diarrhea. But I protested. I was like, no, kids, don't do drugs. So anyways, that was good. Life in Ukraine is in many places pretty normal. A lot of people are packed more in the western part of the country. Fewer people are in Kyiv. A lot of these apartments I see are just empty. The weather is pretty warm, so I'm not wearing long johns anymore. I'm not really wearing thermal shirts, you know, just one pair of pants and, you know, shirts and a light jacket is enough. Good spring weather. There's no snow. It's not that cold. So we're seeing, you know, temperatures of 50s, 60s or so. Overall, pretty nice. Maybe even some 70s during the midday, as far as Fahrenheit, that is. Safety. We hear the air raid sirens many times a day. Most people have gotten very used to the air raid sirens, and they continue doing their normal daily activities. So I caught up, you know, a moment of just some folks walking their dogs as the sun was setting, you know, and we hear the air raid sirens all wailing inside the city streets. But, you know, they're not unwarranted, because every time the air raid sirens sound, then, you know, we hear the rumors and news and discussions and people talking about, oh, a missile hit here, a missile hit there. A couple of days ago, I was walking to dinner, walking to meet up with Andre, and some other, you know, people we were going to meet to get some dinner. And during the time when I was walking to the restaurant for dinner, there was a missile that, you know, a missile or two that landed here in the city. Injured some people. Don't know if anybody died out of that, but, you know, started fires, and we could smell the smoke in the air from the fires that they started. So, yeah, so there, I mean, I took the train, for example, from Lviv to the capital city, which was an overnight train. And, you know, right as the train was starting to move, there was a air raid siren. I was like, let's just get this thing moving so we're a moving target at least. You know, we get to Kyiv, and after a couple of days, we heard that after 2 days later or whatever, you know, we heard that there were missile attacks on, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 different train stations across the country to try and disrupt some of the flow of logistics. So it's a weird balance, because on one hand, you have like normal life, people just living their normal lives as it is. You know, we see folks all in their skin-tight suits, and they're bicycling on the city streets in the morning. You know, folks going to work, folks walking their dog, folks grocery shopping and cooking and socializing. On the other hand, you know, you go into a restaurant, and the people that stream into this restaurant, they're wearing camo, they're wearing green armbands. You know, they recognize each other. We look at them and we nod. These guys are jacked up and, you know, muscular, you know, they're in the military, and you look at them and they look at you, and we all understand that, you know, as we talk in hushed voices across the table, we all understand that, you know, there's people that are, you know, fighting for a common goal, and, you know, everybody's on the same team. It's very nice. You know, it's very inspiring to see. We connect with people very quickly in the age of social media. And, you know, you put out the word like, hey, we have a couple military trainers coming in from the western part of the country. They need a place to stay. Can you help me? We put the word out, and bam, 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 bam. People are talking to people, and they're like, okay, cool, let's see. You know, another one is like, hey, I got this friend, and I met this friend of a friend who she really wants to get involved either in the fighting or in the tactical first aid, tactical medicine side of things. Do you know anybody who's taking volunteers? Okay, cool. Let me ask. Let me talk to my people, and things that's how they happen. Just by people asking people and spreading it through the word of mouth. So. You meet a lot of people. You meet people very quickly, and so far they've been very generous and very willing to help. Very supportive. I see really good teamwork here, and it's very encouraging. So let's do a little bit of myth busting. One of the myths that is floating around is that taking donations so that I can take your guys' money. It's kind of funny, but no, all that funding is going directly to the Ukrainian war effort. So I linked up with I should say there was a gal who, she and her mother run a humanitarian operation. They have a warehouse and they're constantly importing from Poland and taking donations from the United States and the other Western European countries, pulling in the donations into Poland to order food and supplies by the truckload, bring it into the western part of the Ukraine, and then they were originally sending it out with other couriers to get delivered to the war zones, but they found that by the time the aid, food and medicine arrived at the destination, half of it was gone. It had been taken by people along the way. So they started delivering the food themselves. They started making sure that how much of the supplies could be allocated to different parts of the country. And so they took in volunteers, they took in some trucks by donation, and they drive it themselves. So your guys' donations to me go directly to $800 per week for Oksana and her mother and their humanitarian organization to pay for diesel and the fuel and repair and maintenance on their trucks so they can get those shipments sent across the country. If you guys have an interest in doing humanitarian volunteer work, I can help to coordinate you guys to come here for volunteer work. It'd be basically like come here for 2 weeks or a month. We can help you to set up a place to stay that you need to pay for, but it's not expensive. Something like $25 a day. You'd be on your own for food. You'd be on your own for transportation. But we can give you some purpose and give you some good people that you can work with. That we do need your help. One of the things that we're having difficulty with is bringing in equipment. So for example, one of our trainers that I linked up with, an American military trainer, he has a teaching specialty for explosive ordnance disposal, EOD. He has mine detectors, you see in the movies, the metal detectors for them to find explosives in mines. Landmines and booby traps and unexploded ordnance are a real problem because any areas that have seen fighting are going to have active and dangerous explosives left over from both the Ukrainian and Russian sides. And there's going to be civilians repopulating these areas, but some kid's going to find a bomb or something like that, play with it, or someone's going to step on one of these landmines, and that's just terrifying. So this is really, really critical piece of equipment. And one of the things we need is for volunteers to fly here and shuttle the equipment, hand carrying it in their luggage, because that way we know for fact that the equipment will reach the destination that it needs to reach. So, it's like take a plane from here to there, take a plane from there to there, take a train from here to here, go by car from there, and then, work your way, across the country until you can reach the destination. And we may have to change hands 2 or 3 times, but this is one of the things that we need. Let's see, what else? The people here are, I think, broken down in 3 types. The bulk of the people are just trying to figure out their lives and trying to live, trying to be normal as possible. Everybody to some extent is trying to contribute something to the war effort, as far as I can tell. People are willing to help translate. People are volunteering to, even if it's just to work and to donate, if they don't know how else to help, or help us to, helping people to just connect. That's something that's a big part of being able to help, is just simply putting you in touch with the right people. A lot of their, so some of my students were law enforcement, and they're more more well-trained branches with weapons, you know, equivalent to American SWAT teams, basically, have all been sent to the fighting or are being sent to the fighting. So the regular officers are taking on more of that duty, and that work doesn't stop. You know, it's still a very important amount of work. So, you know, part of my training was with law enforcement officers. As far as the military, you know, they are concerned about their security, they're concerned about their safety. And, you know, it seems to me that they have really high morale. So the guys that I work with are intelligent, they're motivated, they're, you know, they're level-headed, they're young men, they laugh and joke like any other groups of young men, and they have a good time, you know. But on the other hand, they do know that they have a very serious responsibility, which is very dangerous. So from morale, I think they're doing really good. Equipment-wise, you know, we see a mix of equipment left over from the 80s that really has been like from a museum, hasn't changed. It's very solid, it's very durable, it's very reliable equipment, you know, but it is not modern, up to date as far as, particularly for fighting in the dark. Then we have special operations groups of various formations who have the best quality Western equipment, lots of donations, lots of funding, and I don't know exactly how they're getting their equipment, but they have good quality, the best quality modern equipment that any special operations groups would want. Obviously, they're going to be doing a bulk of the fighting, and you know, that equipment's going to good use. So, you know, I'm open for you guys. Let me know what questions you have. I do want you to know that I'm alive, I'm well, and that, you know, the Ukraine war effort is going. Thing is, like, when you're actually here and part of the actual like day-to-day operations, it's an endurance race. It's a grind. It's a you know, it has to require some commitment of time and energy, and it's not something you can just come in here and wave a flag around and kind of take some pictures and go home. And I really thank you guys for your support, for your thoughts, for your prayers, for your donations. Also, I want to thank you guys for supporting the school. So right now, the school, which our school is in the Bay Area in California, is still in operation. All the classes are run by volunteers, so senior students who are volunteering to lead the classes. They have a lot of training time. They have a lot of understanding of my philosophy of teaching. So this gives them an opportunity to, number one, serve our customers and our students who want to learn. Number two, also take in tuitions, which again, those tuitions go towards paying for the operational costs of the school and the facility. So I encourage you guys, if you want to learn, if you want to train with firearms, if you're interested in, you know, beginning in learning firearm safety or self-defense, or how to use pistols, rifles, and shotguns, or precision rifle, these are things that we're still operating. The school is running at about 70%. We have good communication. I have good internet here. Cell phones work well. Banks and credit cards and payment systems all work well here. So, you know, I'm not in the Stone Age by any means. So that's really encouraging, really nice. So if you guys have direct questions for me, you know, message me on Instagram, Monarch Defense. You can find my cell phone number. It's all over the website. You can email me, which again, emails on the website, monarchdefense.org. If you're interested about classes, I'm happy to reach out to me, happy to chit chat. If you're interested in coming here to volunteer in Ukraine, happy to help you set up the right contacts. If you're interested in sending donations, please, I would love that. It goes towards buying equipment for the soldiers, you know, things like rangefinders, spotting scopes, scopes for their rifles, night vision, lasers, first aid equipment, mine detectors, training gear. You know, these are things that really can benefit them. So anyways, if you have questions on these things, you want to chit chat, just reach out to me by social media or email. Or my, you know, on Signal is really good. Use my cell phone number, find me on Signal, and I'll be happy to chit chat with you guys when I have some time. So thank you guys for hearing me ramble. Sorry, I'm not super energetic today. I'm very tired after training every day for a week with this past group of snipers. So I appreciate you guys. I love you. I miss you. And please soak in the sunlight for me and enjoy some good food back home. And we'll talk to you soon. I'll try to give you guys weekly updates about kind of how things are going here. So take care of yourselves. Talk soon. Bye.